Welcome, everybody, to the RNCC meeting. It is September 8th, 7:03. We'd like to start the meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First of all, we'd start out with the Pledge of Allegiance. Rock, would you care to lead us in the pledge? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So, President's report. Okay, so this meeting will be video recorded. The recording will be up on YouTube probably tomorrow. Remember to be respectful of our speakers and ask questions that are on topic. So we'll start out with introductions. Please state your name, rank, neighborhood council, report anything from your council if you have anything to report. If you have announcements for the group, please give the information to our public information officer, Rita Johnson. Please send it to the PDF, and I'll let her elaborate on that. So starting out with introductions and reports, Garland.
Hello, my name is Garland Ellis. I'm president of the Richmond Annex Neighborhood Council, also director at large for the RNCC. This last month's been kind of busy. We had a National Night Out event. We had a safety fair event. And this coming Saturday, we're going to have another event, a block party. And that's pretty much it for the month.
Rock Brown, Sergeant Arms at RNCC, and treasurer of the East Richmond Neighborhood Council. And I'll leave that for Jim Hansen if he's in the audience to communicate.
Hello, Margarita Miras, president of Marina Bay Neighborhood Council. And we had two events. We had our successful dumpster day, and then we had our neighbor to neighbor event, community event, and both were successful. And we're closing out year end with a community get together for the members.
Thank you. My name is Ardo Rentila. I'm the president of the RNCC, the Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council, president of the Fairmead Hilltop Neighborhood Council, and president of West County Wastewater District. I'd like to start out with Wastewater District. We had gone to a conference a couple weeks ago, and it was in Monterey. It was a CSDA conference, California Special Districts Association conference. We had Joe Theismann of the Redskins as our motivational speaker, and he was terrific. If you ever get a chance, look him up on YouTube, Joe Theismann. He was awesome. We had a lot of classroom training in the Brown Act, being able to evaluate our general manager and general counsel, classes in AI and what it's starting to look like, and how it's going to hinder some of the boards. So I'd like to give a shout out to our board members, our Vice President Cheryl Sudeth, our Director David Alvarado, Director Annie King Meredith, and Director Harry Weiner, who were mostly there, and our General Manager Andrew Clow. Thank you for that. As far as our neighborhood council, we had a dumpster day Saturday. We had 80 cars, and I want to thank people for their donations. The food was good, and thank you for the donations. Also, we have a neighborhood council meeting coming up on September 25th. We're going to be getting a presentation from Assistant Chief Timothy Simmons from Richmond Police Department. And then November 20th, we're going to have the fire department. And I wasn't going to say this, but there's only 22 more days until my birthday, so just letting you guys know. So that's my report. Jan?
I'm Jan Mignoni. I'm the president of the North and East Neighborhood Council, and I'm the vice president of the RNCC. we've had we had National Night Out, which we had over on 24th between Lincoln and Esmond. And our reason for that location was because we have Ladies of the Night who walk those 5 blocks there. It used to be on 23rd Street, and they moved in a block, which makes it worse because they use people's water, they do all kinds of things. And so we try to get out there as often as we can and make things a little bit more complicated. If we're in the middle of where they're walking, they can't walk, so, or they won't walk. Believe me, they won't walk past us. Next Saturday is our 31st annual potluck and picnic that we've been putting on since the late 90s. COVID kind of messed with us a little bit, but we finally got to, last year was 30. We were so excited we finally got there. Yesterday, whenever it was, I was thinking it was Saturday, we've been working a lot with the Factory Bar, and they had a Maker's Fair Factory Bar in El Tucan. And so we've been out there, and they get a lot of local people who make their own ware and sell it. So we've been out there visiting with them and getting a lot of ideas. We did Art in the Park back in June, so we want to make that an annual event too. So that's the next thing we're going to work on. So that's all we have for now.
Good evening. My name is Lori Hart, and I'm the Vice President of the Parchester Village Neighborhood Council and Secretary for the RNCC. Last month in Parchester, we had a visioning workshop, which was a combination with the Watershed Project and the San Francisco Estuary Institute, and it was really wonderful. We learned about sediments and how they're designed for the creek, and now we're looking at, the difference between good sediments, and we're going to learn a little bit more about how to get some sediments into the creeks. We also did the PVNC, Parchester Village Neighborhood Council, hosted a luncheon for one of the churches. I think it was a 10th year anniversary out in Parchester. And so next month we have our dumpster day. And what else is going on in Parchester? We're just picking up trash in the same spots where there's no lights and there's no parking enforcement. And so we're picking up trash in Parchester. So that's what's going on in Parchester. We're just picking up trash.
If it was in
Good
the
evening.
county in North Richmond, I can do something about it, but I'll talk to the city.
My name is Garetha Johnson. I'm the president of Parchester Village Neighborhood Council and the PIO for the RNCC. And I don't have a report other than we're picking up trash in Parchester.
Hi, my name is Bryce Alleman. I'm Director of Large for the RNCC and also represent the Richmond Village Metro Square. We had our dumpster day this past month. It was a great success, and nothing else to report at this time.
So before we go online for introductions, would you guys like to stand up and come up to the mic and introduce yourselves? Before Cordell turns it off.
I heard that. So I'm Cordell Hendler with Park Plaza Neighborhood Council, and I had 3 reports. So Point Richmond Neighborhood Council, we had our National Night Out, and that was a huge success.
Philip's on the phone.
Yes, I know that. So, and then I think we are meeting this week. Can't believe it's going by so quickly. And so let's see what else. Pullman, they're going to have their block party next month, and that should be pretty interesting. And then let's see what else is coming up. Coronado, we're meeting this month, and so the location is to be determined. So our next meeting is going to be for Point Richmond is going to be September 24th at 7:30 via Zoom, and that's it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
You just turned it off. You want the red light?
There you go.
Suzanne Coffey, Treasurer for Santa Fe Neighborhood Council. We met in July, did a little planning. We had a great national night out. It was very successful. We're meeting this month for our regular meeting to keep things going. We're going to have a little Thanksgiving holiday probably, and planning for our big year-end Hug-a-Bear dinner. That's all will be coming up, so you'll hear more about that. But we keep on moving in a positive direction.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to online.
All right. I'm going to read people's names from online. If you'd care to come on to mic and introduce yourselves, please. Carlos Castro. Danielle. Oh, it would help if I gave you the ability to loud talk. Let's go for Carlos again, please.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Sorry
please
about
go.
that. Carlos Castro, City of Richmond Streets Maintenance Division Supervisor.
Fantastic. Danielle. Moving on, we'll come back to Danielle. David Alvarado.
Hi, David Alvarado, Director of the West County Wastewater Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Danielle? All right, moving on to Day W.
Yes, my name is Winifred. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm Winifred Day. I'm the Arts and Culture Manager here this evening to represent the Economic Development Division with the report.
Fantastic, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Jonas J.
Hi, this is Jonas Julin with the Pullman Neighborhood Council. We had a wonderful national night out. We had our second to last meeting of the year, and we're getting ready for our block party on October 11th.
Thank you so much. LaShonda White, please.
Good evening, everyone. LaShonda White, Deputy City Manager, Community Services, City of Richmond.
Thank you so much. And next we have Philip Rosenthal.
Hello, everybody. This is Philip. We will be having our next meeting on Wednesday, the 24th. We'll be having reviews from Public Works. It's 5 minutes per speaker just for updates. We had a very successful national night out. We were the launch point this year, and I'd like to thank Michelle Malone and the police department and Richmond Works for giving us the manpower necessary to handle the influx in our small neighborhood for people celebrating National Night Out. And I should give a shout out to Chevron, who provided some financial sponsorship, but most importantly, sent a team of volunteers from the nearby refinery. We are also juggling 3 current events starting tomorrow at 7:30 at the Hidden City Ballroom. It's the first of 4 Tuesday, 7:30 in the evening, free dance and mingle classes. Generally, it's supposed to be for ballroom holds a lot of people. So if you want to learn to dance, come on by the Hidden City Ballroom at 7:30. We're also overlapping that with a building community through art project that involves interviewing and creating art around key members of our community. And that's a month-long event as well that will begin in early October. And then we're trying to finalize Gather, Gab, and Garden with Women's West Side Improvement, which has been a club in our area since 1908. And we're going to try to finish the landscaping with the community's help of the Town Triangle.
Thank you, Philip. Can you remind everybody which neighborhood council you're president of?
Oh.
I'll help you, Philip. That would be Point Richmond.
Fantastic. Also, I'm worried I'll get the last name wrong. So Seng of the Air District. Oh.
No, you'll get your 10 minutes. You'll get your 10 minutes.
Okay. And then lastly, Sunil, if you could please introduce yourself. All right. One last chance for Sunil or Danielle.
I believe they're from Prologis.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you. So now to the meat and potatoes of the meeting. I'd like to introduce everybody to our county supervisor, Mr. John Joya.
Great. Can I do introductions without the 10 minutes, though? Because thank you. Okay. So, because I want to introduce, because there's a number of Air District folks here, Viet Tran, who is our Deputy Executive Officer of the Air District, here with me. Emmy Wong, who is now head of the new Community Investments Office. Brian Butler, a senior engineer. Brian's here. And Sang Se Chow, who's an accounts staff specialist here as well. So, and I'm John Joya. I've had the honor of representing this area on the Board of Supervisors since 1999, formerly of the East Richmond Neighborhood Council and Marina Bay Neighborhood Council. I know what it's like to be president of a neighborhood council, lots of work. I've been on the Air District Board since about 2006. And we wanted to make a presentation to you now. We can do this again later, and you can take this back to your various neighborhoods about a new community process about how we spend our fines and penalty dollars. I have advocated for some time, along with other Air District members, that we should be spending fines and penalty dollars in the community that is being harmed by the pollution. So we have that now in place, and we set up a community investments office. And so I'm going to go through, I have some slides. You all know the Air District covers the whole Bay Area, all 9 counties, and we have the authority to regulate stationary sources, everything from dry cleaners to oil refineries. And we're made up of members from all over the Bay Area, city and county representatives. What we do, a lot of issues here in Richmond dealing with analyzing air quality, developing air quality plans, issuing permits, enforcement, and providing grants and incentives. This is just about our 5-year strategic plan. So let's get into the sort of, as you say, Chair, the meat and potatoes. So the Air District does collect penalties from companies that violate our regulations, and about a year ago we approved a new policy to direct the resources back to the communities where the violations occurred and those communities most impacted by air pollution. And we just set up at the end of last year the new Community Investment Office. I will turn over to Emmy to talk about, since she heads this office, the goals of the Community Investments Office.
Sure. Thank you. And good evening. My name is Emmy Wang. I'm the new Community Investments Officer as of about 3 weeks ago. So excited to be with you all. You can see here, these are the goals for the Community Investments Office. As I look at them, they really are about ensuring equity in both process and outcomes. So you can see here, goals around directing funding to projects that improve air quality and public health, increasing equitable access to resources, projects, and programs, collaborating with impacted communities to identify and prioritize air quality-related needs and solutions, ensuring investments are aligned with community needs by engaging with a wide swath of community stakeholders, and then providing timely, clear, and accessible public information regarding the penalty assessments and the fund availability. Great. I can provide here an overview of the penalty funds policy. So as Supervisor Joya mentioned, the Air District fines entities that violate our regulations, and then we collect these penalties. Most of those individual penalty packages are actually quite small. They're in the range of $10,000 to $50,000. But in total, the most amount of funding that we collect comes from penalties that are paid over $1 million that are primarily paid by the oil and petroleum refinery and related industries. And it accounts for over about 90% of the total fund amount that is deposited into the penalty funds. And so to date, the Community Benefits Penalty Funds Policy and related settlement funds have generated over $124 million. You can see here that funding then goes into a couple different funds. So there are two funds on this slide here, the Regional Community Benefits Fund and the Local Community Benefits Funds. Both of these share the same goals, which is to reduce air pollution, mitigate air pollution impacts, and then improve health outcomes in communities impacted by air pollution. The difference is in the scale. So the Regional Fund will cover the 9-county Bay Area over which the Bay Area Air District has jurisdiction. That's going to come in phase 2. So we're going to tackle that kind of down the line. We're not going to tackle that immediately. What we're really going to focus on this fall and this winter is the Local Community Benefits Fund. And the Local Community Benefits Fund is focused on when there was a penalty incurred in a specific geographic community, the funds then go back to that specific geographic community. And then there's one additional fund that is of relevance to you all, which is the Richmond Air Quality Community Fund. This is a separate fund because the settlement and the penalty occurred prior to the establishment of the penalty funds policy. And it does have a slightly special designation, but it's designated to reduce particulate matter emissions from other sources in the vicinity of the Richmond refinery, and then to reduce PM exposures for community members. Okay, so here we get to this fun chart around how the penalty funds are allocated. We're going to walk through this together. So if you look at that first bar up here, the first $100,000, that first $100,000, 100% goes to the district budget under a budget cap that is set every year by the board of directors to pay for enforcement needs. And then anything that's additional over that will then go to the Regional Community Benefits Fund. The second kind of like teal band there, the next $100,000 to $1 million. The split there is a little different. So the 50% goes to the district budget, and then any remainder to the Regional Community Benefits Fund. And then 50% goes to the Local Community Benefits Fund. And then the bottom band on the bottom, these are for penalties over $1 million. And remember, those are the largest sources of funding for this penalty policy. In this case, 20% goes to the 20% goes to the regional fund, and then 80% goes to the local community benefits fund. So that's the split. And then here you can see some of the math here. So if you start at the very bottom, you can see the total amount of funding is approximately $125 million. You go up one roll, and the Air District uses 9% for administrative costs and expenses. So that leaves about $116 million available in the fund for community benefit. And then the other rows up top above that are the breakdown between those three different funds that I was talking about earlier. So the regional fund, which we will tackle again in phase 2, has about $20 million. The local community benefits fund, all told, has about $75 million. And then that Richmond Community Air Quality Fund has about $20 million. Okay, and then here we do a little deep dive into the Local Community Benefits Fund, which is really what we're going to be focusing our attentions most on this fall. This chart on the right, you will see, I think of interest to you all, is the Richmond Fund has about $15 million in it. This is funds that are sourced through the penalty policy. And then this is in addition to that specific Richmond Air Quality Community Fund that was in the previous slide. So $15 million here for Richmond here, plus the other $20 million from the Richmond Community Air Quality Fund.
And just to add on this, the city is the city where the fines were collected. Doesn't mean the money's only going to get spent in that city. So, for example, for Richmond, these are fines collected from Chevron. So they would be spent in the impacted area, which could be San Pablo, could be North Richmond, could be Terra Hills, Montalvan Manor. So it is to the area that is impacted by that air pollution. And I will say that I think it's important to note there is about $35 million available today, $20 million in the health fund, and then $15 million out of these penalty dollars. Yeah.
Before you continue, can you let the audience know that this is not the $550 million
Good, very good. So this is not the $550 million that the city of Richmond is receiving from their 10 years, their 10-year agreement with Chevron, because that was a settlement on a tax issue. This is totally separate. We have nothing to do with that. We administer these funds under our own process, which will be a very community-oriented process.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Great. Great. And then just to wrap up a little bit where we are in terms of our process. So over the spring into the summer, we started and kind of kicked off our community engagement effort, which included a survey that had over 1,000 respondents. It included tabling. It included meetings with 60+ neighborhood associations and community groups. And so that is helping to inform the kind of ideation period that we are in now. We are in the process of developing a draft guidelines document for the local community benefits fund. And then the goal is to implement a pilot community investment initiative.
And the draft guidelines will be out when, Emmy?
Sometime in October.
And so the goal is for our Air District Board to approve these guidelines in December. So this is really important because once those guidelines are out, which let's say September, October, is it October you said?
October.
We want to also hear from you. You may want to take a look at those guidelines because those guidelines are going to set forth who's eligible, what are the kinds of projects that can get funded, what's the process. So that document is really going to set forth how we run this program, but we want to hear from you, and again, more input before we finalize that at our board of directors in December, and then probably start an application process for the funding in January. And again, slight difference between the health fund, which was part of a lawsuit settlement, and the penalty funds. The penalty funds probably get used a little more broadly. The health funds have to be focused on health, particulate matter, those kinds of things. Still lots of good things for the community. You know, I grew up in this city. I understand the importance of, you know, how we address air pollution. So I think lots of opportunities to do some good things. We did that? Okay. Yeah, so went through that quickly to really allow time for questions and answers. And I know folks have said, well, took you a while to get to this point. Well, we wanted to develop our community investments office and put the infrastructure in place because we wanted a thoughtful process to include transparency in the community. And so that's why we wanted to do it right, not just do it fast.
Appreciate that. So we'll start out with any questions?
I have one.
Hi, thank you for that presentation. So looking forward to seeing it. I'm curious though, do you have, and maybe it's too preliminary because you said guidelines will be in October, but is there a mapping right now to see where the geographical areas are of where the impacts for where these penalties are coming from?
Well, you know, that's a really good question. One of the things we do when we look at a new regulation for the refinery, we look at who would particularly be impacted by pollution from that facility, and depends on the wind and all those other things. Just like after, an incident, as you know, the community that's impacted may depend upon the weather conditions at the time and all of that. So I don't know whether there's going to be that granular detail, because every incident is different. But I think we know from data the parts of West County and the Richmond area that are most impacted by pollution. I think that will be helpful. We have a lot of mapping about impacts from various pollution from the Chevron facility or General Chemical, for example. But I'm not sure if it really translates to actually the incident.
Yeah, just to say, we will have a map in the draft guidelines that will be out in mid-October, but we have not determined that yet. So it's coming, and your feedback is critical to making sure that that map accurately reflects the lived reality here in the Richmond area.
Yeah, because it would be interesting to see, as these penalties are being charged, what's facilitating that, right? So obviously, there's areas that come from those the impacted areas. So, I would think that the guidelines that are coming in October would hopefully help us all understand where where those are really what areas those are coming from, and really how are penalties derived,
Right,
you know.
right.
Okay.
You know, and two points that to respond to some of this is, first, we would rather not there be any penalties and for facilities to be in compliance, right? We don't want the pollution. And these penalties, frankly, are really not, I don't think they're enough to really, on their own, you know, to penalize very big corporations in a significant way. And I will say that we tried for years, we finally were successful recently to increase the maximum penalties under state law, because state law sets the maximum penalties we could assess. And every year, business and industry in Sacramento fought those bills that we sponsored. Finally, I think it was Assemblymember Wicks. I know we had we had Senator Skinner, former Senator Lonnie Hancock. All of them carried bills for us unsuccessfully. But Assemblymember Wicks carried a bill that did pass to increase fines and penalties. You know, one could argue still maybe not enough, but again, penalties should not replace compliance, and that's our preference. But if we're going to collect penalties, we want them to go back to the community that suffered the harm.
Thank you.
Right?
Question? Jen?
As you can hear by me choking over here, I was born and raised in Richmond, and I'm now at the age of 40, so not at my age now, but when I was around 40, 45, I was diagnosed with asthma. And so, of course, to me, adding trees, 50,000 trees in the area would be a great thing.
Yeah. I mean, that may very well be a project. Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Totally.
I mean, you know, and you know, it's one of
You're
those
not the only
things.
person that's advocated that. 'Cause,
Oh, I
you
know.
know, Lee Michaud's advocated that.
Yes,
Richmond
I know,
Trees.
Michelle.
Yes,
I
yes.
know that Lee
Yes.
was be working on that too. But yes, yeah, for from 2011 to 2021, we had a group together called Richmond Trees, and we planted trees in the north and east
I know.
mostly, and
Yeah.
we did some in the annex also. But just getting trees out there, it's amazing how many people are afraid of having trees in their neighborhood, which is just bizarre. We had one of our helpers, she had a young son who was 5 at the time when we first started doing this, and he'd walk away when people said they didn't want trees, and he'd go, those people want to die. And we'd look at him and go, what do you mean? He goes, well, trees make oxygen. You need oxygen to breathe. A 5-year-old can explain it better than some people can, you know, but it was one of those things. And we really, you know, would like to push very hard for something like that.
Yes. I think, you know, that may very well be, in my mind, that would appear. Again, I'm going to vote on the final regulations in December. I'm looking forward to see the draft guidelines myself, and, you know, want to hear, you know, I'll reach out to the community to get more input as we look at these draft guidelines. Yeah.
Trees also work as filters.
And I know for communities like Parchester, which are downwind, and North Richmond, you know, there's going to be specific kinds of needs, and we would, you know, maybe the community works on putting some applications together, and you know, the city could do it on behalf of the community or the neighborhood. So I think there's a lot of opportunities. I mean, you talked about all the trash issues you're dealing with, which are health-related issues, but yeah. So I think we're looking for ideas from the community.
Well, I really don't have a question. I just had a statement.
Yeah.
And and I heard you talk about North Richmond
Yeah.
and Terry Hills, and I just wanted you to know that Parchester
Yes.
is not a part of either one of those.
Right.
So I just wanted that when you do your mapping,
Right.
not to
And
forget
the reason,
about
just so you
Parchester
know, and the
Village.
reason I didn't say Parchester, because I know that Parchester is in the city limits of Richmond. I was trying to make the point that unincorporated areas, you're totally right, I 100% agree. But I felt Parchester, when I say Richmond, it means Parchester because you're in Richmond, but North Richmond's not in Richmond, and neither is Terra Hills. That's why I wanted to mention those, just to be clear. I don't forget Parchester. No, I know Parchester well. But yes, I mean, because it's true, and Richmond is pretty spread out, right? From El Sobrante to Marina Bay to Parchester. So all of those are under Richmond. But I think people often ask about the unincorporated areas because, you know, North Richmond, unincorporated North Richmond, and you head up toward Montalvan Manor and Bayview, those areas can be impacted even though they're not in Richmond. Yeah.
Are there any questions online?
I'm sure Phil's got a question. Hey, Phil.
Please raise your hand. I see one. 1 second. Hey, it's Phil.
Hey, Phil.
John. Hi, John. Hey, by the way, I feel your pain, Parchester, about the trash pickup. We've got it too. I didn't actually have a question. I just had the comment that we have existing trees that I've been talking to John about. Some of them are over 100 years old. So we'd like to start with maintaining the trees which are about to die and be pulled out or be pulled out from PG&E. And the other thing that I'd like to share with my colleagues is that we are sending out questionnaires because we do send out MailChimp. And so we're actually going to be asking our community to chime in on what they think is most important. So I think that to be able to say X percentage want trees, X percentage want, we have a lot of calls for air purifiers to be distributed. So not questions, but things I've talked to you about. And John's been really very helpful in helping us to figure out how to make this happen. So thank you, John.
And thanks for mentioning filters. You know, under a separate program, the Air District's putting in about $1.5 million so that almost, I think, literally every elementary school in Richmond and then some surrounding areas like San Pablo and North Richmond are getting air filters, air filtration systems. I was just visiting one at MLK school, talked to the principals, said these are great, we really appreciate it. So it's about making also that didn't come out of this money, it came out of some grant money we got from the state, and we're working with the school district now to install, to have all these schools have air filtration. Our kids deserve clean air, right? They shouldn't be going to school breathing, whether it's wildfire smoke or industrial pollution. So we're putting those in as well.
We have another question online from Michelle. Michelle, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate the presentation. It's great information that we can get to our neighborhoods. I just wanted to know, is there a central repository where this information can be accessed, where we can kind of refer people to it if they have other questions? And wanted to co-sign and agree with the idea about maintaining our current trees and our, current urban canopies as we speak, and then also taking a look at, again, that indoor air filtration. I think that's very important right now, especially on those spare the air days. I think having access to those, especially in areas that are highly impacted, would be important. So thank you again for that.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle, for the question. Yes, we have a webpage on the Bay Area Air District website on the Community Investments Office, which is the name of the office that is administering and overseeing these funds. So you can just put that into the search term of either Google or the Air District website itself, Community Investments Office, and it'll pop up. It's the first search term. And then once you're there, we have a mailing list sign up, which is the best way to stay updated on the grants and when the draft guidelines come out. When all those things start moving, that is where we will start sending out alerts and notifications in addition to doing broad-based community outreach. But that mailing list is probably your best spot to make sure you get the most up-to-date updates about the penalty funds. So thank you.
Go ahead.
You mentioned that there was two aspects of the money that was being collected. One was the penalty phase and one was more towards a medical phase. Everybody knows that medical facilities in West County are adequately inadequate. Yeah. It's been like that for a long time. And disproportionately, there's other areas that do have more medical facilities. For example, you have a refinery in Martinez. They have several hospitals there. Mm-hmm. What is the possibility of expanding some of that medical facilities to the area where we have the refinery, which would be the Richmond area, to build it up to be able to serve the people of this area just as much as it does the other areas where there's also refineries?
Good
Although
question.
I would note that Benicia has no hospitals. They do have a refinery there, but unfortunately it's going to close in about a year or so.
Right.
But the one in Richmond will continue on, so. And of course, there's also other facilities besides the Richmond refinery. There's General Chemical and several other chemical facilities here in Richmond. So can there be more towards medical directed in this area?
I think that's a good question, and I'm going to also talk about these two amounts. So the 20 million that's specifically on health reducing particulate matter comes out of a settlement in a lawsuit, and all the other penalties, all of the others, including the 15 million, can be used for that or broader uses. So the penalty money can also get used for health-related improvements. The reality is, and I spent a lot of time on health issues, it cost $1 billion to build a new hospital here. I've met with Kaiser, I've met with the CEO of John Muir, saying, hey, we want to help you build a hospital here. Kaiser did expand their emergency room, and you're right, we are less emergency rooms than we should have here. The reality is, I think we can use money to help provide medical services. This is a drop in the bucket. This is not going to cause John Muir to spend $1 billion to build a hospital and then pay hundreds of millions to operate it, right? But whether it's Lifelong Medical, Contra Costa County Health, Kaiser, I think discussions about programs that improve people's health make a lot of sense. And I would expect that that's going to be part of it, whether it's asthma related or other things. But I don't want to raise expectations this money can build a new hospital. It can't. We all want one, but it just is not going to do that.
Okay, I did have a question. Michelle had asked one of them. One question, this may be a little bit off topic, is I've lived in Richmond six decades, and I've worked refineries for 4 decades. Yeah. I have emphysema. We know it's not related in our family. I've got asthmatic.
I know you do,
well.
right?
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, I've been to retirement luncheons, and the average retiree lives 5 years after he retires, average refinery worker. And I'm just wondering if there's any data being collected regarding that.
Well, it's interesting. I was at a committee meeting of the Board of Supervisors today, and one of the things we saw was our sustainability committee. We have one of the highest rates of hospitalization due to asthma. We're in the top, unfortunately, 10% in the state along this industrial corridor from Richmond to Antioch, right? And obviously it's due to many things. Environmental and pollution is one of those, lack of access to health care, other things. We hear a lot about the asthma issue. So we have data specifically on asthma. Arto. I don't know, I haven't seen data on emphysema. I could check with our health department, but and it's interesting, there's a difference between rates of asthma and rates of hospitalization for asthma, because when you are hospitalized for asthma, it often means you didn't get health care early enough and get your prevention treatment, and it got to the stage where it got really bad and you went to the hospital. So that's an important thing to look at. So just saying that there is data about that, and I can determine with our health department if there's other data. I'm unaware of the emphysema part of it, though. But there is data on the asthma.
Yeah, I mean, I'm specifically referring to iron workers, pipe fitters, millwrights, and those construction workers that typically work refineries. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to find out if
all really good questions. I mean, it just shows you how complex this issue is, right? And that there's way more things we need to do than the money we have. And so this is just, again, a drop in the bucket. 35 million may sound like a lot of money, but it really isn't. We just want to make sure what we're collecting is spent in the community. And look, I mean, I think we all don't want to see these incidents. I mean, I still remember the day, and you know Vernon and Linda Whitmore. Their son, Chris Whitmore, and my son, Chris, they're both 33 today, went to Washington Elementary School. And I remember picking up my son in the middle of a shelter-in-place that was going on from the refinery. Washington School, Phil knows, right near the refinery. And the feeling of picking up a child in the middle of an industrial release, right, is not a very good feeling, and you're worried about your family, and we all don't want that. So we want to not have to impose fines. We want to be able to get compliance. We just put into effect the most stringent rule on a major unit, the Chevron refinery, their fluid catalytic cracking unit, which is responsible for 75% of the particulate matter that comes out of that refinery. and our rule that they're complying with. They're working with Richmond to permit and build this unit. It's going to cost them $400 million, I think, to build it. It's going to reduce particulate matter there by 60 or 70% from the refinery. And we did a study to look at who's impacted by all that. So we know what neighborhoods around there are impacted, and that's what we would rather have, that kind of work.
Yeah, for us, it's more about accountability as well.
Yes, yeah.
So I
yeah.
appreciate your presentation. Are there any more questions?
None that I can see online.
Lori here has a question.
So you mentioned some programs or items that improve people's health. You talked about the
Yeah.
trees, the air purifiers, the filters, maintaining the urban canopies. Are there other items at the
Yeah,
top of
oh,
your
for
committee?
sure. I think, we were just sort of throwing out ideas we've already heard. The guidelines that come out in October are going to set forth the nature of the types of programs and the process. And that's where, you may check in again and have some more discussion and say, you know what, maybe it needs to be broader, the process needs to be different. But that's all good. So let us know. So a lot more. That wasn't meant to be an exclusive list of
No,
things.
no.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't that. It's just that those were good items, and so I
Yes.
was curious if there were some other
No, and
things
you
off
may
the
have
top
some
of
other
your head.
ideas
Correct.
as well. And I mean, remember, we're just getting this started. And so it's a process to get this going, hear from the community, and obviously it'll apply to future fines, right? Which there could be. So.
So we've got 2 more questions before we let you
Yeah.
go.
Just quickly, if and when we add more trees, would there be a
Oh,
way?
probably more. I'll bet there'll be more trees as part of this.
Yes. But taking care of the trees is very important.
Yeah.
And that's something that doesn't happen in Richmond as much as it should. So it would be very important. I don't know if there's a way we can work money to take care of trees as well, Once a tree gets started, after 3 years, people just let it go, and God knows what you have when you're done. I grown up on a street that had beautiful, I don't know, probably 100-year-old magnolia trees, which are slowly getting taken away because people don't like them. But just another thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, maintenance, not just capital, but maintenance. And, maybe if that's eligible, that may be an application the city of Richmond puts in to supplement, what they can't afford to do with their budget. So, I mean, all of those are possibilities, Jan.
Thank you.
So I'd like to wrap it up with one more question.
Yeah, really, one more question, sorry, I just had a follow-up. But the fund, first of all, this is great that, I mean, like you said, nobody wants to be having these penalties, but it's something. And what's the span period that these penalties have been accumulating?
Good question. So these are penalties that were collected after we changed the policy in 2024. So penalties that were assessed before then are not part of this, but as to when did these violations occur, I don't know if Viet or Emmy, you have that. Some of these were violations over a period of time.
That's right, Supervisor, over a number of years, and there were about 500 violations. And so as part of the settlement for the Rule 65 agreement, we settled those violations and for the amount of $20 million. And then the additional $20 million Air Quality Fund is what Chevron also committed to, and that's a separate fund.
Right. So they were for a period, and you can see Benicia, Martinez, Richmond have the most because those are cities that have refineries in them, right?
And then I would add also that in the event that Chevron doesn't come into compliance by the compliance date, which is July 20th, 2026, an additional $17 million will be assessed for every year for 3 years. So set $17 million a year. And then on the 4th year of noncompliance, if they're unable to comply and get the wet gas scrubber installed and get the permits from the city of Richmond, then it would be an additional $32 million in the 4th year.
Right. I think they are working aggressively with the city to get that wet gas scrubber permitted. But remember, it takes, once you get it permitted, it's design and construction take a couple of years. So it is entirely possible that they will not meet that July 2026 compliance date to have the wet gas scrubber operating, even though they're working with the city on that. And that means, as Vieta said, there'd be more, that fine, the fines and penalties, it's already been agreed to, is going to go up, because we've already in our settlement said, here's the fines and penalties we're collecting now, and if you don't meet these compliance deadlines in the future, the penalty is going to be 17 million, 17 million, 17 million, 34 or 35 million. So we hope we don't get to that point, that the wet gas scrubber, which reduces particulate matter, gets installed, but it is not entirely impossible that an additional penalty could get added on.
Thank you.
So before we say goodbye, could you tell us one more time where we can find more information for those that
the
just joined
website.
us?
Yes, of course. If you go to the Bay Area Air District website and look for the Community Investments Office, that is the webpage. You can also just Google that those same terms, Bay Area Air District Community Investments Office. You will see a webpage, and there will be a sign-up link to join the mailing list.
Thank you.
And thank you for all your service as neighborhood council leaders. As I said, I was president of Marina Bay Neighborhood Council 30 years ago. I know how much work you all put into this, and it takes a lot of effort. And so appreciate everything that you do to on behalf of the neighborhoods.
And we will be sharing this video, so thank you
Good.
very much.
Thank you.
Thanks again. All right, moving on to staff reports. Lieutenant Decius, Richmond Police Department. Is Lieutenant Decius with us tonight?
I'm sorry, I thought I was unmuted. Apologize.
There you go.
Good evening, everyone. I will make this a little bit expedited. I have another meeting I've got to get to in about 6 minutes. So just to start off with some of our staffing, we currently have 8 officers in training right now in our FTO program. We have 4 in the academy, so we're hoping to get 12 officers, 10-8 here, hopefully sooner than later. That's on the heels of us having roughly, I want to say, 24 vacancies. So we are still actively hiring. Unfortunately, with a lot of agencies in the Bay Area, it's kind of a revolving door. So we're doing our best, but 2 steps forward and 1 step back. In terms of our parking enforcement, we had 8 parking enforcement reps. 1 just resigned today for another job in another city. So we are trying to hire an additional parking enforcement rep. Just so everyone understands what they are, they're not just parking enforcement, going out, impounding cars. They're kind of our point and our, like the tip of the spear, so to speak, in dealing with encampments, RVs, and things of that nature. So although I've heard and I will continue to hear people's concerns about abandoned vehicles and parking complaints, I do want the community to understand that those 8, now 7 individuals work their butts off in a manner and in a, I guess the aspect of it's not just a one-faceted, like a one-pronged approach. They have to do so much. I want everyone to understand that they deal with 23rd Street parking throughout the city, along with street sweeping, and then a lot of the encampments. So a little bit of grace is greatly appreciated when it comes to them and the outstanding job that they do. Going on a couple of the events we've had, I know we didn't meet last month, but we did have National Night Out, as many people mentioned. It was an extremely good event in all the neighborhoods, so thank you everyone who participated and hosted. This Saturday, we have the Fiestas Patrias parade. And that's starting at about 10 o'clock. 23rd Street will be shut down at 6 o'clock on Saturday morning and reopen at probably about 3 p.m. We will have security or officers working out there on Friday or Saturday night, Sunday night, and then on the actual Independence Day of the 16th. So just be aware that that surrounding area on Saturday will be congested and a lot of streets will be shut down. Let me go to some of the statistics we have going throughout the city right now. We do have a decrease in the majority of our Part 1 crimes, I'll say. We have a 40% reduction in the city on sexual assaults, 22% reduction in robberies. We do have a 36% increase in burglaries. I don't have a breakdown if it's residential versus auto, burglaries, but I have a sneaking suspicion a lot of those are going to be auto burglaries. And then we are a 25 and a 23% decrease in thefts and then vehicle thefts, in that order. A couple other things I just want to mention is a lot of you understand and know that we have, shot spotter technology, and that helps us locate, identify areas where there's been gunshots. Year to date from last year, we're down 21% in terms of activations, and that's not a faulty program. It's the fact that people are, thankfully, knock on wood, firing weapons less frequently than they have years past, so that's good. We still do have one homicide which occurred in July, so it's been nice this past month. And then I will say we do have our flock cameras, and I just want to say that over the last, or since the beginning of January this year, that that camera system has allowed us to arrest 66 individuals using that, and that's anyone from attempted murders, robberies, people brandishing firearms, stalkings, carjackings, and etc. So it's an amazing tool, as I say, every single month, and it's something which the officers here enjoy to use and have been really good at using. Some of these young officers, their technological savvy is very amazing to me. And with that, I will yield to Cordell.
Yes, and I overheard Jan was saying, because some of the things that I was going to mention, and I'm going to say it because I have called the police on 2 occasions in the last 2.5 weeks, the last week of August, and I have reported that individuals that are hanging around 7-Eleven, it is becoming a concern because for my safety, because I've talked to a lot of residents, they say they don't feel safe going over there because people be out there, when they open the door, they be asking for money. And that same time period, I seen one officer pass through there and didn't even notice that the individual was standing there begging for money. So I'm not saying, I'm just being a concerned citizen. And second of all, within that same period, I have seen I have observed the ladies of the evening, especially along 23rd Street, and people like myself don't feel safe. So I'm assuming that there'll be some extra patrol along 23rd Street. And the other thing you just mentioned about the parking enforcement, because once again, I have called it in a number of times to report that there's a suspicious car that's been sitting in that same spot for more than 3 days. And so I just want to make sure that there be some extra patrol around there, because that area alone is almost a hit and run, just that quick.
Thank you, Cordell.
Let me see. Has Garland got his hand up or no? Okay. Rock?
Lieutenant Decius, I just had a question, and you said that there was an increase in the burglaries, more specifically, and most of them were cars. But what I'm curious is, if I know you may not have the complete breakdown with you, but can you tell us, even if in the north, south, and central, is one of them getting in a pie of 100%? Is one of them getting 40% of those, or what gives us an idea of our neighborhoods, or just to, we're going to be alert, but to be more alert?
Give me 1 second while I just get into my email real quick. Let me pull up a breakdown for you just of the districts. So the burglaries in the southern are going to be up 50%. In central, it's going to be up 29%. And in northern is up 31%. I don't have a map of a geographical area as to where those are, but if you want, I can pull that up for you and I can get it emailed out to you. If that's something that
that's
you'd like to
fine.
see.
That's a good break. Not to try to cut you off. I just want to tell you that's fine. What you did right there was adequate. Thank you so much, Officer.
Of course.
Lieutenant.
Read it. Hey, Lori.
Yes. Lieutenant Decius, you mentioned the flock cameras and how effective they have been. I know that it was approved for Parchester to get flock cameras. However, we were also told that they cannot mount them. So I've talked to personal homeowners who've agreed to put them on their houses. I've talked to churches. And I'm wondering if there's any way you guys can, I don't know, the same equipment that you're using, purchasing some poles or something to get some of these flock cameras up here. I just think it would decrease a lot of the repetitive issues in the hot spots that we have that continue to occur. So I want to offer up Parchester and specific streets specifically to help with that, because our Morton is getting pretty bad. I mean, Lieutenant Bashan, Captain Bashan now,
Yes.
worked diligently. At one point, Morton looked like a third world country, and I have done my best to make sure that it does not look like that again, but it is becoming an increasing problem. There's not enough dye for me to buy in my hair for all of the issues that just keep going on between the homeless and the dumping of the cars and just everything. And it continued to go on in the same places, and it's getting worse because with the laws pertaining to removing homeless, they know them better than the laws that were written. So, you know, I understand, but taking 4 weeks and 5 weeks to get rid of people for new people to show up is just a reoccurring problem. So anything that could be done with getting some cameras up there and areas would be wonderful, and I think it would decrease the activity that goes on in these places over time. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to say I do feel your pain, and I empathize with you regarding that. You brought up Captain Bashan. She's actually, I believe, since she went up to our investigations as the captain, she's in charge, or one of the sworn personnel that's in charge of the flock cameras. So I'm not sure if she was here today. I'll see if she's around tomorrow. Let me sit down with her and pick her brain as to what's been approved to go into Parchester, because I don't know specifically. And then it sounds like that they aren't allowed to be put up in certain areas. Is that correct? Or on, like, you're kind of saying that they can't be put up places?
Well, according to Bashan, they couldn't mount them on telephone poles or whatnot. So I'm not sure what, legally what can be done, but that's all that was told to me. But again, the problem has become worse, and it's continuing to just decline. So tell her she does not want
touch
her
base with
hard
her.
work to go in vain.
Yeah, let me touch base with her and I'll circle back with you. I'll be here early again tomorrow, so let me see if I can find her, then I will circle back with you.
Thank you.
Any online questions?
Yes, we have one from Michelle. Please go ahead.
Yeah, and it's just as a follow-up on the previous point about Morton Street, just so you know, we are trying to work diligently. So parking enforcement did go out there to go and tow and cite vehicles. And just so you know, it's not necessarily the camping ordinance that's necessarily just the problem with that. I do know the issue is people coming back is a concern for folks. It's more that it would be good for us to be able to have someplace either permanent for them to park or some permanent sheltering options. We know that that's tough, but we have been towing and moving and citing vehicles, and we will do that. So if anybody needs help from any neighborhood with that, I have a list probably about 7 pages long that we work with every week. Feel free to contact me and let me know so that we can take care of those and get those out your way. So I appreciate that and want to thank everybody for participating also in National Night Out. We do have our upcoming crime prevention meeting, and the topic will be getting back to basics. And I'm sure you all know this because you all do a lot of reporting for your neighborhoods, reminding people to call the police. We love Nextdoor. We love online. Call the police, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? So I have a point and then a question. people in my neighborhood are extremely mad. They're livid, they're angry, they're pissed off, all of those adjectives. They feel like they're being disrespected by the police because when they call, police never show up. And I understand and they understand, but they're still upset about it. So I've been advocating for years that RPD look into getting a public relations person that can go from neighborhood council to neighborhood council and calm these angry people down because they don't feel like they're getting their money's worth. And so we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I don't know what you can say here tonight that might help, but that's where our neighborhood is at. And we've asked Deputy Chief Simmons to come to our next neighborhood council meeting on the 25th and kind of try and cool everybody's jets.
Yeah, I don't know that I can resolve everybody's concern, but I can say this is that if you call the police and for some reason it's taking a long time, I definitely encourage people to call back and ask for an ETA, or if they don't see an officer, there are different ways that we can train people to do that. We do that in block captain training too. Be willing to definitely, I've come out before, talk with people about it. If anybody's interested in getting that kind of support, always happy to be able to do that. We have a staffing issue. We all know that, and it's not an excuse for anything, but it does sometimes mean that some priority calls may hold longer, and that isn't a good answer for residents, I know, because they feel like I pay taxes, I want the police there when I want them there, but part of the challenge is the staffing. That said, if someone is holding for a call and waiting and it's been 10 minutes or something like that, or it's been longer, it's been an hour, there are ways to be able to call back and work with dispatch to find out the ETA of the officer. So be happy to come and check in with folks about that and ways that we can advocate.
I agree with you that we up here know that RPD is short-handed and short-staffed, but the majority of the residents in our neighborhood don't know that because a lot of them obviously don't show up to the neighborhood council meetings, and it doesn't matter how many times you put it in your newsletter, it gets thrown away. So I don't know if RPD wants to start a campaign to remind people that these are the reasons why they're not showing up as promptly as you'd like them to. So, thank you. I yield my time. Well, I guess moving on, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Lieutenant Deschus, for your time. Moving on, we have Richmond Fire Department. Over there in the corner. There he is.
Evening, everybody. How you doing tonight? Aaron Osorio, Fire Chief, Richmond Fire. Just wanted to give a summary. It's been 2 months since we met last, so I'll give you some statistics from July and August. I'll combine them just to keep it easier. In the last 2 months since we last met, Richmond Fire has responded to 2,395 calls for service. If we break those down into the major categories, we've had 10 working structure fires, 17 vegetation fires, 124 encampment fires, 18 vehicle fires, and 1,370 EMS calls. Obviously, there's other calls in those statistics, but those are the main categories I usually share with you guys every month. So it was a busy 2 months in the summer. We are coming into what we traditionally feel is the heart of fire season. This is when some of the largest fires in California usually occur due to the winds and all the fuels curing. So we're in a state of readiness for that, continuing to train. Some of the other highlights from August and July, like everybody else mentioned, we had a large participation in National Night Out. We had crews throughout the city attending different parties. It was a full roster of events that night. So it's hard to make all the events, but we definitely tried to make our presence felt throughout the city in each district. In August, we've been able to place one of our newer ladder trucks in service at the Hilltop Fire Station. It was the last of the two fire stations to put their tractor-drawn aerial into service. For those of you that are not really sure what that is, if you see a really long fire engine with a ladder that looks like a driver in the back, that's what we call a TDA or a tiller. The point of that type of apparatus is allows us access into areas, streets that we traditionally couldn't get into with our previous ladder trucks. So it just I was able to provide a little better service and response into the rest of the city. We are also in the final stages of taking possession of 3 new wildland Type 6 fire engines. These are smaller patrol-style engines that we will be placing throughout the city. This will just help boost our wildfire response capabilities throughout the wildland jurisdictions in our city. We started a new youth academy in August. We have 25 new cadets going through the program. So that's exciting to see how many young folks in the city are interested in public safety and in the fire department. So we look forward to them doing the next few months down at the tower and seeing if we spark an interest into pursuing public safety as a career as they get older. We have participated in some hazmat drills recently, most recently at the lab on Marina Bay Parkway. We did a full-scale drill with the staff there, with our hazmat team. We've been able to train 21 previous or new CERT members in CPR. That was the first time we were able to offer CPR to our CERT classes. So we're hoping to be able to continue that program moving forward. And then we participated in a very large-scale drill at Chevron with 8 other agencies, a mixture of fire departments and industrial firefighting apparatus from the different refineries throughout the county. It was meant to drill us on our communications and interoperability and pre-planning for emergency response. We'll be having another drill with them at Phillips 66 in Rodeo next month. We also have been working more towards our wildfire preparedness. In August, Buffy Wicks hosted a wildfire preparedness event in El Cerrito City Hall. We were able to participate in that. I personally participated in the Q&A panel with the 8 other fire chiefs that fall under her districts, so Oakland, Berkeley, Albany, El Cerrito, Richmond, Confire, Piedmont. So there's a number of agencies there. We were able to highlight what we're doing, the measures we're taking for wildfire preparedness, how we communicate with each other, and how we're leveraging opportunities for vegetation management and defensible space projects so that we can try to have a continuous impact on the fuels across our jurisdictions. And then lastly, we have been scheduling for our next recruitments, both hiring and promoting within the organization for the 25-26 fiscal year. year. The goal is to try to fill as many vacancies as we have. We made a huge dent in that, but this is the last push we're trying to do to get back to where we need to be and then maintain our staffing where it needs to be so we don't have hardships. That's the report for tonight. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Garland?
We keep having more residents that are having to be put on a waiting list for CERT classes. I was wondering if there's a possibility of increasing the number for the City of Richmond residents.
The number enrolled or what? Which number? I'm sorry.
More and more people have to be put on a waiting list to take a class for CERT.
Yeah, I understand. Are you asking to increase the number of students per class or?
Well, now for more classes. Like this year we only had.
Microphone.
This year we only had 1 offering, and then there was a joint one with San Pablo.
Correct.
If we could have more, but say within the City of Richmond, then maybe we can kind of decrease that list a little bit.
Well, we had the last CERT Academy was actually the largest CERT attendance we ever had in an academy. That actually pushed our limits. I think we started with 48 in that one, I believe. We always have dropouts. Folks just schedule changes and they can't commit to it because it's a couple months. But we ended up, I want to say, just around 40 or 38. The goal is always to try to do another academy. It's extremely labor intensive, and the duties that the EOC manager has to do kind of get put on hold every time you're doing a CERT academy. So that's why we're leveraging our relationship with San Pablo CERT and Alma to be able to refer folks into that one too, because she's actually having trouble being able to fill all her classes. And so we're kind of taking that approach initially until we can get more staffing to see if we can increase the number of CERT academies. I think the last group, though, we learned that's about the max we can handle in an academy. Just logistically, that becomes very difficult. And there is some national guidelines about student-to-teacher ratios that I think we kind of blew past that last time. We did have a lot of help from the community members that are CERT instructors too, that helped offset that. But logistically, that was a lot to be able to have in the 40s in an academy. So we're going to continue to try to see where we can look for more opportunities. We are going to be doing CERT through the youth CERT for the youth academy kids. So that's another added CERT service we haven't done before till now. So we are looking at expanding it, but we kind of need to make sure we're covering the other responsibilities we have to do, like EOC preparation and training.
In the past, we used to have more civilian trainers that were certified in the city of Richmond. Can we look at maybe trying to get those reactivated or having more of those?
We can. We've also had a lot of outreach from community members that they wanted more fire department instructor participation. So we adjusted because there is a level of institutional knowledge and response knowledge that helps kind of make the training a little bit more lively, answer questions, some real life experience. So we're trying to balance it because we have a really good group of civilian CERT instructors, and we like to take advantage of their generosity with their time. So I'll talk with Richard and see if there's an opportunity to open up for anybody that's maybe interested and not currently certified. But we keep on getting back and forth. We went away with a lot less fire department instructor participation, and we're specifically asked can we bring back more firefighters to help train, because we really liked what they brought to the class. So we're trying to balance the two.
Rita?
Yes. I'd like to know, do you still have the free smoke alarm program?
Yes.
To
I'm
residents?
glad you brought that up. That was in my notes from my deputy chief, and I didn't even say it. Yes, if you go to the fire department's the website, right on that landing page there's a tab to register for free smoke detectors. It's a program we're doing in conjunction with Red Cross. They provide the detectors. We provide the installation and the education. There's a small form you have to fill out, and then you'll get scheduled on our calendar. And then we do it on a Wednesday or a Saturday. We'll come out and do the installation for you.
Okay, thank you.
On Sunday, we were out at the Makers Fair, and there was a young man out there that was had been certified in like Napa, but he's moved back to Richmond. So does he have to take any training, or how do we connect with other? I mean, because we've had a lot of people who've come in the neighborhood that have been certified, but in other counties, cities, states, the whole bit. So
I'm probably gonna have to get back to you on that. I don't think they're required to go through it again. I'm not quite sure how we connect them with the group that's in the neighborhood closest to them.
yeah, I told him to contact Richard Diaz.
Richard, yeah, because he's working on a registry too, of everybody that's ever taken CERT, and trying to figure out if there's individuals that have taken it a long time ago, if they're still live in town, if they're still interested in participating. I'd have to get back to you though on how we connect them, but I know eventually he'll end up on a registry where his name will populate and contact information.
Great.
Do we have any questions online?
I don't believe so.
Okay, I've got a few questions. So I'm going to be asking either you or Rincon to come to our neighborhood council meeting in November. But my question is, does the police department have a hotline where people can call and say, hey, look, there's a car there and a bunch of oil and gasoline and it's a potential fire hazard? Or do they have to go through code enforcement and then code enforcement gets a hold of you?
We only get involved if it's spilling. So we mitigate spills. We don't do enforcement if there's just something there that if it was going to leak, it would be a problem.
Yeah.
That's 100% a code enforcement issue. We only get brought into an incident when there is fluids leaking from a vehicle,
Okay.
going into the gutter, potentially risking going into the storm drain. Then for us, it becomes a hazmat response. Otherwise, when we get those reports and we go on scene and we realize there is no active leak and there's no spilled fluids, we refer that to code enforcement ourselves too.
Okay.
But preferably with no leak, it goes the code enforcement route and doesn't come to us unless it's a leak.
So you have a couple of different smoke alarms in residential homes, wireless and hardwired. And do they have to be registered or with the fire department or the city anymore?
No, the only ones we register are the ones we give away. And that's an accountability and a program accountability aspect that we have with Red Cross. They want to be able to track where the funds are going, where the smoke alarms are being installed. It's all part of their national program where they can look back and have data upon where their resources are going. So those are the only ones we track. If you choose to go to Home Depot or wherever and buy one, there's no need to call us to register or inform us. Once in a while, someone may have a question on where they should put it, then we're more than happy to come out and let folks know. But other than that, we have no need to know when you get one.
And then lastly, Hilltop Mall, the Prologis project, which is taken over by the city, it's very high density. They may be having a presentation in October at the city council. And our issue with the neighborhood councils up there is that with all that density, the police department don't have enough officers for that. And I was on a call where the fire department has said, well, we would need about 18 more officers. And my question is, are you planning on attending those? Because now Primister has bought the strip mall up there where Ross is, and they plan on putting in a lot of high-density housing in that area as well. And so, I mean, the math doesn't jive. If we're already short firefighters, we need somebody to advocate for more firefighters other than the public, right?
Yeah. Now, there's a process. At the appropriate time, the fire department's looped in. There's things such as impact fees. We look at the density, if it's services need to be augmented to address the population increase. Right now is not really the time to do that, but the planning department does incorporate the public safety aspect and the impacts to public safety when they're planning these projects. So I feel very confident that there will be a point where we get brought into this and we have to articulate the needs we're going to have based on the projected population increase. I can't really speak specifics to this project right now. It's very early on in the stage. Right. Previous versions of what was going to go into Hilltop, we estimated that we would probably need one more crew at the Hilltop station. Most likely we would, that used to be a double house with an engine and a truck. We would most likely look for funds to go back and restaff that truck. And so you'd have two companies running out of the Hilltop Firehouse. But like I said, this is very preliminary. We haven't looked at all the numbers yet. But most likely there will be some change to the staffing up there eventually.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Quick question on the smoke alarms. Is there a limit?
I'm gonna have to look that up. I thought I thought you can get more than one, but I'd have to get back to you on that. Let me find out for sure, because it was meant to be. It wasn't meant to have one in every room. I don't think that the program could sustain that, and so we look at best locations when we install them in there. So they usually end up being in the hallway outside of bedrooms, and they're not meant to be for like apartment landlords. Which is only for single-family dwellings, or I mean, we have installed them in apartment units for folks who landlords haven't done what they're supposed to do. Because we're really talking about life safety more than anything else. But we can't, I don't think the program was meant to be able to give like 4 or 5 per household. So we really look at the best location to put them in. And it's typically we do outside the bedrooms.
Okay, glad
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for your presentation.
Good night.
So moving on, do we have anyone from the mayor's office online? No one from the mayor's office? Okay, how about economic development?
Winifred.
Yes, this is Winifred. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Winifred Day. I'm the Arts and Culture Manager with the Arts and Culture Division, which is part of the Economic Development Department. So I'm here to provide an update for multiple departments within economic development that include the port, economic development and business development, the environmental division, real estate, and the arts and culture division as well. First, the Port of Richmond for Director Charles Gerard. The announcement is that the port has been serviced weed abatement along Canal Boulevard, and they've been painting the K-rails as well. Hardscapes on the T31 will be completed by the end of September. Second item, port has additional striping and traffic calming measures implemented along Canal Boulevard. Those of you who have driven through there have probably noticed that there's 25 miles per hour notices compared to the speeding traffic that was there before. The additional work task will be finished by the end of September. Next item is for economic development, economic and business development division. The business development overall, they're available to meet with existing and potential businesses who have questions or need assistance with anything involving the city and business development. As far as the programs are concerned, the ARPA Small Business Support is continuing to award grants to those businesses who applied and were affected by COVID. As of the end of July, $287,500 has been distributed to 40 Richmond businesses. Next is the facade program, which focuses on Iron Triangle, Santa Fe, and Coronado, is coming together. The scope of the program and announcements are expected to come within the next few months. Next item, on demand, business support has been launched. If you need help with your business, please check the business division's website and look for on-demand business support, where you can find a link to our partner CoBiz Richmond, who will provide certain services at no cost. The program provides business support to existing businesses and to those who are looking to open new businesses with services such as business plan development, marketing, referrals to resources. Next item, Open Rewards in conjunction with Buy Local campaign is also being developed with the goal of stimulating the Richmond economy. More to come. Next item is an invitation. The invitation to attend the Economic Development Commission, which meets on the second Wednesday of each month. And there are open commission positions for those interested in helping grow Richmond's economy. Check the city's website for more details. Next item is from the it's part of the economic, all of these are part of the Economic Development Division. The next one is for the environmental program. And Richmond residents that are either 62 or older, or residents enrolled in utility discount programs such as PG&E Care program can apply to receive monthly discounts on 5% of their trash bills. Please contact Republic Services at area code 510-262-7100. Next item is from the real estate division. And number one, real estate worked with DFW, which is Department of Fish and Wildlife, to add to the, I hope I'm saying this right, the River Fish Hatchery and Golden State Salmon Association to deliver 200,000 salmonoid fish into Terminal 1 facility back in June. And our pals youth supported the event with the Golden State Boat Salt Lady. And it's the fourth year that Richmond has benefited from the salmon reestablishment in the Terminal 1 shoreline. Staff completed state lease negotiations to bring the first time ever State Senator Jesse Araguan to
Close
Richmond. Sorry. And they will have a new location for their offices with U.S. Congressman John Garamendi on the second floor of the 440 building. And the state lease is expected to appear in front of City Council in the August 19th meeting, which means that it probably just took place or did take place. Next item, staff is working on environmental consultant to prepare grant reimbursement for environmental cost expended with the regulatory and environmental issues with City Corporation Yard. And real estate is working with Port and Haley Aldrich to prepare permits necessary for dredging work for the marina. That kind of gives you an idea. And the last item is for the Arts and Culture Division. Many of you are already familiar with the fact that the Spirit and Soul Festival is happening on September the 20th. And the Richmond Poet Laureate will be reciting some Richmond-related poems at that time. The Arts and Culture Division is happy to announce the Neighborhood Public Art Mini Grants. The total this year is $110,000 per grant, and the deadline is October 17th. The range of the grants is between $7,500 and $15,000, and these are all projects that benefit Richmond residents. All insurance and business expenses are included in the grant, and there are 2 mandatory workshops. So if you don't attend the workshops, you cannot apply. The workshops will be on September 17th from 11 to 12:30 via Zoom, and then on Wednesday, October the 1st from 6 to 7:30 p.m. in person. You can go online and find the registration information, and that's primarily the information that we wanted to report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Go ahead. Sorry, where'd I go? One second. Ahmed, would you care to speak?
Yes, thank you very much. This is Ahmad Anderson. I want to say thank you very much to Winifred for that report. As a former chair of the Economic Development Commission for about 2 years, I think one of the things I think is missing from that report is what are we doing to generate additional revenue or invite outside businesses who are not here now to be a part of what we're trying to strive to build here in the city of Richmond. And then 2, are we working with the East Bay Economic Development Alliance to talk about cities that are similar to Richmond with the demographics, with the kind of job training we have that can encourage businesses to come to us and say, we see you're putting in the work, we see you're doing the training, and we'd like to bring our business here. I know we have walking tours in downtown. I know we have grants for folks that are here, but what is the actual impact and result of rolling out the red carpet for new businesses?
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. I will share this information with the division and ask them to provide a response at the October meeting.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? I have a question. I'm not sure if this is for you, but my question is, has there been a study on the effects of Measure U, the gross receipts tax? And because if it's working, that's one thing, but if it's not working, we need to know because it can hinder businesses coming to Richmond, especially with what's going on in Hilltop. There's a lot of talk about trying to bring in retail, but if Measure U is a problem, then we need to adjust it. So I was just curious if there's any data on Measure U.
I've made a note and I will ask someone to report next month.
Thank you.
I'll just briefly say that I've actually, not just to piggyback on that, but I've heard companies, I don't want to say who, that is a concern. And personally, I think that there might be some good in it, but maybe they could look at things like pharmaceutical, where we have seniors and what have you, and getting businesses in. Grocery, where we don't have enough grocery stores, we're kind of like it's been said, a grocery desert. Certain items they need to really reconsider in order for us to actually not shoot ourselves in the foot.
Duly noted. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I'd like to thank you for your presentation, and we hope to see you next time.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Planning Department. Anyone from Planning here? Oh, there we go.
Everybody's hiding in the corner.
That is.
Good evening, RNCC staff or chair. Yes, I was hiding in the corner working away, trying to get more things done before the end of the day. Just a few updates. The Planning Commission heard the preliminary study session on the Hilltop Specific Plan August 21st of this last month, and provided feedback to the Planning Division and our consultants ESA on next steps and bringing that forward to council. So that will be on September 16th, so next week, Tuesday. We will have a study session with City Council regarding the Hilltop Specific Plan and establishing a land use plan and concept to move forward with, so we can begin the environmental studies that coincide with that. On October 7th, we will have the first reading of the adoption of the updated ADU ordinance. This is in conjunction with the launch of our ADU toolkit, which is a guide that is now available on the city's website. It's a soup to nuts guide on helping homeowners understand the options and availability of developing an ADU in the city of Richmond and what it takes to go throughout that process. There's also a set of pre-approved plans that residents can use and is available to them as a part of a number of different state laws. The goal was to create pre-approved plans that would reduce the barrier to entry and effectively reducing the cost to need to then not necessarily have to go out and hire an architect to design plans specific to your home. So again, the plans have been pre-approved by both the planning department, the engineering, and the building department. So the goal of expediting the permit process and reducing the fees from the architectural fees. The planning permit is not required. In that case, it's just a building permit. Planning still reviews it. It does still require you to hire a professional to help you draw the last set of the site plan, as we call it, to illustrate where you would be connecting water, sewer, and power to your home. So those are now available on our website. I provided a training at the monthly TCC, the Transformative Climate Communities board meeting last week on Wednesday, I believe, where I just, again, walked through the presentation of the actual toolkit itself. We provided residents with the guide. It was funded by that program as it was originally focused on the Iron Triangle neighborhood and 3 other neighborhoods. And so we made it a point to bring it to that group specifically. If there's any of your neighborhood councils who would like for me to attend a meeting and provide a presentation, feel free to let me know. We're really trying to push this program. It will end up in Sasha's newsletter, and we'll be promoting it throughout different social media platforms for the rest of the year in an effort to help push the development of ADUs in the city of Richmond. As far as staffing goes, we currently have 4 vacancies in the planning division, so we apologize in advance for any time it may take us to get back to you. We are working diligently to rehire. We have one opening recruitment right now that will be for a senior planner that will help with current planning projects, so new residential, new industrial, new multifamily, and more complex land use plans around conditional use permits. And what else do I have? Other than that, I don't have any other major updates. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Cordell, if you'd like to go to the other mic,
That one,
there's a mic over there as well.
right there.
That'll work. Avery, can you share with us the update regarding the Hilltop the alcohol item? Because I was at that planning commission meeting last month, and can you provide some update to us?
Chevron gas station.
Yes, so the city staff is coordinating a meeting between the applicant of the Chevron gas station at Hilltop and the neighborhood councils that had expressed interest in wanting to have further discussions about what, if any, additional conditions of approval would help remedy concerns regarding their application to sell alcohol on site. And I don't have an update to that meeting. It hasn't occurred. We're still waiting to coordinate that meeting, but I can certainly bring back any updates to next month's meeting if we have the meeting by then.
Any other questions? Okay.
Hi, Avery. Any update on the Transmontane? I know that's been going on for, like, it's just like, it's just stale.
The Transmontane project is an expansion of an existing rail yard to add additional spurs for more cars. The city is working with LSA still. We've been diligently trying to address the exact operational changes that they'd like to address with their amended application to be able to reevaluate any CEQA impacts that their project may have. In addition to that, working with TCC on the railroad actual crossing and the bike pedestrian access and the quiet zones, both still ongoing. I really don't have an update other than the environmental document is still under review because we're waiting for the actual operator to provide us with the precise number of new truck trips or train cars that would be provided. And again, the initial review that had been done for a certain amount. They've indicated they'd like to expand their services. And so we're having to reevaluate the numbers before we can release the initial draft for public comment and review.
But they have, I just want to make sure that the application has not been updated based on the meetings that we've had with the community.
Same application, same applicant. Nothing is new or different about what they're proposing to do. It's more of a refinement of their operations to make sure that as they make projections about how they're going to operate, that the analysis that we do and the conditions that we then place on the project regarding, say, the hours of operation or the number of cars that they can have on site or the number of truck trips that can be generated at their site, that we're able to accurately condition them and then also put in the measures for what would happen if they were to violate those conditions of approval and the remedies that would come with it.
Okay, and then, sorry, just one more follow-up from Marina Bay. The Craneway, any update, anything?
I do not have any updates on the Craneway. I can certainly report back. I would have to connect with both the Office of Economic Development and the City Manager's Office regarding that lease.
Okay,
but I can certainly report back next month.
Avery, a couple questions. How many ADUs are allowed per home, or is it based on size and square foot?
Generally speaking, if we're talking about a single-family home, you would be allowed a junior ADU, so that's the conversion of existing space into a junior accessory dwelling unit, which is a smaller unit, no larger than 500 square feet. You'd be allowed to also have an attached ADU onto your home, and then subsequently a detached ADU. There are many different combinations and variations that do come about in the planning department. The notion of attached and conversion is generally seen when we convert a garage. There are instances where multifamily properties can also have additional units being added. So say it's a fourplex, they'd be allowed to have 2 additional detached ADUs in the rear of their property, but not more than the number of units allowed on the site. As far as the sizing, again, the junior ADU, smaller unit, capped at 500 square feet. And then the ADU itself would go up to, in some instances, depending on the zoning and the distance to other things, up to 1,200 square feet. But I would say the majority of the ADUs that we're reviewing and approving are in the 700-ish to 800-ish square foot range.
Okay. And LLC is almost finished. They're like on their last couple of houses. And so I know that there's some funding that was due to the city for some additional things that were going to happen in Parchester. So is anybody on top of collecting those funds? As I was just told that the RFP went through and you guys have chosen somebody to come out and do the assessment with all the needs.
That would be me, actually, yes. So I'm
Okay.
doing the final inspections of the heritage homes and all the product they have. I've got 7 to do in about 2 weeks and then 3 homes left after that. But before we issue their final occupancy and approval from the planning department for both each individual home and the site itself, where we're meeting again, as you indicated, the Public Works Department has began bringing on a consultant to help us address what design concept should be proposed along Old Giant Highway, if I'm saying that right.
Correct.
Thank you. To understand what fee the applicant would need to be paying and or the scope of work associated with the conditions of approval that are in place. I actually have a meeting later this week to discuss with that applicant as they've reached out to figure out. Again, it's a negotiations very much between the city and trying to make sure that we're able to bring not just a short-term solution to an immediate need, as we want to do that, but we also want to address the fact that if we don't look at it holistically and we only look at a certain portion right now, that we might not be setting ourselves up for success in the future, and trying to understand how we can look at it, undergrounding the power lines, for example, being able to potentially widen the road itself to accommodate for a class 2 or a protected bike lane, which would allow us to better upgrade the facilities and the walking path. Also looking at, in the short term, what we can do with the existing infrastructure to add lights, as I know that there's a lighting issue. So all of those things are in consideration as we work with the developer to figure out if it's going to be something that they are going to do now in the near term as a part of a condition of approval for their project, or if it's as a part of the study that's going to be conducted for that entire area, making sure that we have and receive the appropriate amount of funding so that we can put that towards those projects. So from a long-term standing plan point, we're setting the neighborhood up for success. The last thing we want to do is tear up half of the street only to make improvements and then leave the other half unimproved, or make an improvement that 2 years from now, maybe we're able to negotiate the undergrounding of the power lines and we have to rip it all up to put things underground again. So trying to be very strategic about spending public resources and dollars, and then there will be a point where we'll be able to come to the neighborhood council meeting to be able to kind of share where we are, and that is when we have a little bit more of a solid plan in place. But please feel free to follow up with me if you've got other particular questions.
Thank you.
All right, I've got a few questions. I was at a mayor's conference, and Senator Benjamin Allen, District 24, was there, and the topic was ADUs. And I don't want to say warned, but he did say that because ADUs done correctly are permitted, and if they're permitted, those permits can trigger an increase in your homeowners' property value or property tax. So is there any type of mathematical equation that you can give to people, like 500 square feet equals?
Great question. Yeah, so the county's assessor office obviously makes that assessment based on the improvement that's done, based on the valuation for the project and the size of the project. We have tried to our best of our ability in our guidebook to provide some examples of what those costs could look like. It has come up recently that as the city issues building permits and then eventually they are final, the county receives the information once the building permit's been issued, and then again at the end when it's been finalized so they can finish the property tax assessment. I've got some concerning phone calls that have come into the office, so I'm actually going to work with the assessor's office in the upcoming weeks to establish their procedures and protocol around how and when they're beginning their assessments and when they make the requirement to homeowners to make that payment, because as it can have an increase. Also making sure that we can provide information to residents on if and how you can appeal said decision. Every county and every assessor's office is going to operate and function a little bit differently, but we want to make sure that as people do proceed with building and developing ADUs, that they understand the full scope of those costs. And the assessor's one is sometimes the trickiest one because we don't control that one. But to get a more dialed in set of guidelines that we can provide our residents is our goal. It will be followed up with our plan in the current state legislation pushes for the legalization of ADUs and an amortization program by which we help anyone who's built an ADU in the past would like to legalize it by bringing it into compliance. Again, the main goal being safety. Last year we had 4 ADU fires that destroyed not only them, but other homes and other garages and structures. And so the main goal is safety, and we don't want anyone getting hurt, but also recognizing that asking people to legalize a unit that maybe they don't have permits for opens up, right, the need to be able to demonstrate the work that's done, but also that your property would be reassessed. So trying to strike a balance between helping and making sure people understand to the fullest extent possible what those costs can be, not just from the city as you have your building permit fee, for example, but what the county may be assessing.
I believe Rock has one last question.
Yes. On that, the issue we just discussed, is it, to your knowledge, that when an ADU is permitted and permitted correctly and they do a reassessment, that it's done, and we'll just say that the ADU hypothetically here is, as an example, is, we'll say it's 700 square feet, the ADU. They assess it, is that correct, on the 700 square feet, on the footage that you did the ADU, or do they assess it on does the whole entire property become?
Property value goes up, so.
Good question. The assessment's only on the improvement area, so just on the ADU. It is not a reassessment of the entire property's existing value, only on the improved area is what the county is looking at.
Okay, that's the question. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your presentation. I have questions about Hilltop, but
We'll see you at City Council next week on the 16th.
Well, it was actually about Prime Minister.
Feel free to send me an email if you've got a separate project question on anything that's in your neighborhoods. Absolutely.
The date on the ADU is October.
October 7th is when we're going to be taking the first reading of that ordinance. Again, state law changes very rapidly here in the state of California, and the rules on ADUs change about twice a year, and so we're in a constant struggle to keep ourselves up to date to be able to make sure that we're enforcing the rules correctly.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
So next we have Community Services. Stephanie behind the corner. Yes, she is.
She's hiding in the other corner.
Good evening, everybody. This is Stephanie Nye with the City of Richmond Community Services Department and Public Works. I'm also the staff liaison to RNCC. I'd like to start off with my monthly reminder that neighborhood councils have access to using our community centers for your regular in-person meetings at no cost, as well as your one free annual event. Contact registration office to make your reservations. You also have access to our printing and mailing services. Please contact us for your print jobs and submit them well in advance. Our email for print jobs is neighborhoods@ci.richmond.ca.us. Feel free to contact me as well, and I could connect you to our intern, Crystal, who handles those. To recap just a couple of things from over the summer, we held our successful summer camps, ended in August, and we've restarted our after-school programs. On Wednesday, August 6th, we held Kids to Parks Day, our first one, at Booker T. Anderson Park. We had a bike smoothie, we had a rock climbing wall, human hamster balls, and a lot of outdoor activities for kids. Over 350 people attended, and we hope to have another one next year. Love Your Block also supported a cleanup at MLK Park with Richmond Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee just this evening at 5:30. We thank their partnership for leading this effort. We're excited to announce that the Richmond Tool Library will be expanding hours. Starting October 3rd, the Tool Library will now be open Wednesdays and Fridays, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. To celebrate, we are hosting Growing Toolgether, a day with the Tool Library at the Recreation Complex, 3230 McDonald Avenue. On Friday, October 3rd, join us from 9:30 to 12:30 for a volunteer work day to beautify the Recreation Complex grounds. I know many of you have visited us recently and told us it needs some love, so it's going to get some love on that morning. Then join us in the afternoon, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. for a heat press t-shirt workshop and celebration. Limited t-shirts will be provided, but bring your own cotton t-shirt or other cotton fabric to customize. We have a variety of outdoor adventure trips coming up that we'd like to invite you to and your families. These trips include bus transportation, meals, and entrance or equipment fees, and most of our fees are just about $10 per person. On Saturday, September 13th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., we're having a field trip to see the giant trolls at the Filoli Garden and Mansion. This is $10 per person to join us, and we meet at the Recreation Complex. Saturday, September 27th, we have a paintballing field trip for teens. $10 per person. Transportation, meals, and entrance and equipment fees are included in that cost. Saturday, October 4th, 10 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. Join us for Family Farm Pumpkin Picking. Saturday, October 11th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Join us for an obstacle course field trip for teens, which will include climbing, swinging, and soaring on trees. And finally, Saturday, October 18th, join us for a family scenic rail bike field trip. And again, all of these cost $10 per person, includes full bus transportation to and from, meet at the Recreation Complex, includes meals and all of the entrance fees. We're also hosting on Thursday, September 25th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., we're hosting a hands-on training workshop called Camping Fundamentals to equip agencies to support camping and other outdoor community programming. So if you're interested in that, I believe it's a free training at Nickel Park, Thursday, September 25th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Just contact our registration office if you need more information. We are continuing our after-school programs for kindergarten through 8th grade, after school until 6 p.m. We also have a Youth Tennis Advantage partnership, Mondays through Fridays, 3 to 6 p.m., now through December 19th, for students aged 8 through 18 years old. This is a free program that includes instructional tennis and homework help. We're continuing to offer our Zumba classes as always, Tuesdays and Thursdays 7 to 8 at the Recreation Complex, Saturdays 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. And pre-registration is required. The fall/winter schedule for our pools as well as our swim lesson schedules have been published. Please look at the City of Richmond website or call the registration office for more information. And as always, if you're interested in hosting your own volunteer community cleanup, please contact me if you need some resources. We have the Love Your Block in-kind sponsorship program available on a rolling basis. If you need to contact our registration office, their phone number is 510-620-6793. And if you need to contact me, Stephanie, 510-620-6563. And any questions before I pass it along to Alexis for Neighbor to Neighbor?
Lori?
On this camping fundamentals on the September 25th, Where are we going camping?
So it's a hands-on workshop to learn how to, if you're interested in getting involved with youth programs, specifically outdoor youth programs, this will equip you with the skills. So we'll go over how to lead a camping trip, but we're not actually going to be staying overnight. And this is being held in partnership with the state, so state staff will be there to help us as well.
S'mores. Any other questions?
Okay, I'll hand it over to Alexis.
Good evening, everybody. Alexis with Neighbor to Neighbor. So bear with me. I have a long list of events. So to celebrate up to this month, including our busy month of August, we have had up to 60 Neighbor to Neighbor events here in the city of Richmond. So starting with our August events, Laurel Park hosted a paint and sip. National Night Out was hosted by 10 different neighborhood councils, starting with Atchison Village, Belding Woods, Greenbrier, North and East, Point Richmond, Iron Triangle, May Valley, Pullman, Richmond Annex, and Santa Fe. Including also, we had Richmond Annex Safety Fair, Marina Bay's Neighbor to Neighbor community event. That Sunday, we also had Atchison Village kicked off their Healthy Movement class in the remaining Sundays of August. These classes continued. Wednesday, August 20th, we started off with the city's Yoga and Youth series at the Rec Complex, which will continue until September. And this, on Saturday, August 23rd, we also had Parkchester Village had their Sediment Solutions Visiting Workshop in partnership with the Watershed Project. Let me see what else we had. That is it for our month of August and upcoming events, you guys. Starting, actually this past Sunday, East Richmond hosted their first Neighbor to Neighbor event at Tiller Park Community Celebration. And it was a great event, which we had local DJ and a band performance. And this upcoming month, continuing for September, this upcoming Saturday, we have about 3 events. We have North and East, 31st Annual Picnic at Burge Park. We have Richmond Annex, Block Party. And last but not least, we have a city-hosted Yoga and Youth series at Booker T. Anderson from 11 to 12. Sunday, we have Atchison Village, another health and movement class. Tuesday, we have Point Richmond's Dance and Mingle series at Hidden City Ballroom. Saturday, the 20th, we have May Valley's Future What's Your Vision at Fern Cottage. We also have another Yoga and Youth series, which will be hosted at Nevin Community Center from 10 to 11. Sunday, September 21st, another Atchison Village Health Movement class. Tuesday, September 23rd, Point Richmond's Dance and Mingle series. Wednesday again, the 24th, will be a city-hosted event, which will be a Yoga and Youth series at Civic Center Plaza here from 12 to 1. Another city-hosted Yoga and Youth series, Friday, September 26th. September 28th, we have another Atchison Village Health Movement class. Tuesday, September 30th, is going to be another Yoga and Youth series from 5:30 to 6:30 with a Taco Tuesday to follow. Another Tuesday and last event for September this month will be Point Richmond's Dance and Mingle class at Hidden City Ballroom. Yes, and that concludes for Neighbor to Neighbor. Then I also have Yoga and Youth flyers, you guys, if you want to take any.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? No? Well, thank you for your presentation, ladies. Greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Carlos is still awake.
Carlos.
He's still awake.
I'm still awake. I'm still here. Good evening, RNCC members. I will start my update with firstly paving. A couple of the recent jobs that we've done over by DeJean Middle School, we paved Bissell Ave, Chancellor Ave, and 35th Street. So we were able to pave that whole cluster. One of the larger jobs that we've recently done was Overend Avenue. We went from South 41st to South 49th. We also paved South 45th Street from Cutting to Overend. And then last week with our holiday week, we were able to make some repairs on Castro Street, basically in front of the Chevron refinery entrance to the 580 underpass. There's a lot of deteriorated asphalt there. We were able to make some repairs there last week. A couple of jobs that we have coming up for paving. Next week, we're going to be on Shane Drive. We're going to pave from Hilltop to Groom.
Yep.
We're also going to pave Whole Drive next week. There is some message boards out there. Shane Drive will be closed. There will be a detour in effect. AC Transit's already been notified, and we got some message boards out there today, late today, so that we can notify as many people as possible. So that'll be next week. After that, we're hoping to go to 6th Street from Barrett to McDonald. It depends if the ADA ramps are done there or not. And then 19th Street from Barrett to Roosevelt. Those are a few of our upcoming jobs. I want to touch real quick on the road closure that Lieutenant Deschus mentioned earlier. This Saturday, the parade will be happening on 23rd Street, so that will be closed from basically 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have a couple message boards out there, just like the Cinco de Mayo Festival, letting everybody know that that's coming. And then a few people have mentioned the Spirit and Soul Festival that's coming up next Saturday, the 20th. That is going to have a road closure on McDonald Avenue, um, basically from about 13th Street to 15th Street. I know that the streets get kind of weird in there. They're not exactly correct in there, but that's also going to have a road closure, so be on the lookout for that. For our street sweeping, we do have 3 sweepers running right now, but one of them is our backup sweeper. One of our better sweepers is in the shop. And the backup sweeper is the backup for a reason. We are still having mechanical issues with that. The water system works when it wants to work, and then there's a couple other issues with that. But we're still sweeping our routes, doing the best that we can with that sweeper. The last week, of course, the 1st was a holiday. Also, tomorrow is a city holiday. It's Admissions Day, so we will not be sweeping tomorrow. We will resume our normal schedule on Wednesday. For the commercial routes that get skipped, they will begin again next week because those are weekly routes. But if a residential route gets skipped, that won't be swept again until next month. If the second Tuesday was your scheduled day, that won't be swept again until next month. Also, Indigenous Peoples Day is October 13th. I just wanted to mention that because I think that's probably the day of our next meeting. So that'll also be a holiday. Same schedule there. This month does have 2 5th days, the 29th and the 30th, which is, I believe, Monday and Tuesday. The 5th days, we don't sweep residential routes. So what we'll do those days is sweep either Richmond Parkway, which is most likely what we'll do, or we sweep medians throughout the city that we can't maintain properly during the month. For signs and lines, the signs and lines crews, they've been following behind the paving crew everywhere we pave, gets all new signs, gets all new traffic markings, curb paint. So they've been following behind the paving crew. We've also installed some new striping on Atlas Road at Richmond Parkway. That area now coming from the UPS Amazon facilities, that has 2 left turns that'll get you 2 left turn lanes that will get you on to Richmond Parkway now. We installed some new striping and crosswalk refreshing on the intersection of Hilltop Drive and Robert Miller. We've also been installing new sweeping signs in Parkchester Village. We're about 85% complete with that. Maybe 1 or 2 more days, we should be able to complete that. The next project for sweeping signs for my division, we're going to move to the Hilltop Fairmead district next. We've also been, handling spot repairs throughout the city, and we've been installing new stops for our engineering division. They have they have at least a couple dozen brand new stop signs that are being installed throughout the city. That is all the updates that I have for now. I'm open for any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Cordell Hindler?
Carlos, when I looked at 30 Bissell Avenue, I was amazed, and I was like, your crew really outdone themselves. It's like Bissell has never looked more smoother. So I want to thank you for that. And I talked to the neighbor off of over, and she was amazed at how you guys did. You smoothed out the 47th and over, and it's like it was well worth it. So I want to commend your team for doing this, and like in a quick turnaround time. I was impressed.
Thank you. I'll pass on the good word to the crew.
Lori?
I too want to commend your work in Parchester. We had signs that looked like they were Braille. That's how old they were and cracking. So the new signs are a refreshing change. So it's very noticeable. Thank you and thank your crew.
You're welcome. Again, I'll pass that on.
Hi, Carlos.
Hi.
Our next RNCC meeting will be the 20th. We finally
Okay.
figured all that out. Anyway, there was a gentleman coming, doing some kind of checking signs in the north and east, and but not really he was checking stop signs. I guess the height or something, or I have no idea. But I was under the impression that somebody from the city or your consultants are going to come through and do all the parking signs in that area.
So that person actually is a consultant. They're gathering all the data for all the city, any sign in the city, any stoplight. They're gathering all that data for us, and they're going to put it into a system for us, which is going to enable us to plan better for the future. So that's what that crew is doing. It's still going to take a lot of money to replace all the signs, and it's going to take a lot of time. Just the sweeping signs for the Parchester and Hilltop neighborhoods are eating up a lot of my budget. So after those two neighborhoods, I'll have to be more mindful of where I'm spending my money to get my bang for the buck. But that's the plan
Okay, I mean,
is to be
most
replacing
everybody,
signs.
yeah, most everybody in the north and east knows, what day is what and everything. But we do have old signs. Some say tow, some say, fine in tow, some say, some of them, and I couldn't tell you where the signs are because sometimes there's not a post or anything anymore. Stuff has been just, people tear it out and we never see it again. So that's good to know that someone's going to be doing that because it would take forever for us to do it. Thank you. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Rock?
Yeah, just want to mention over there by the backside on Key Route where the Planet Fitness and the grocery outlet is, and they also have the dance place that they've been promoting. People come out of there at night trying to, it's you got the tango and salsa and stuff. Anyway, as we promote those businesses, they've really cleared. I want to compliment you guys that they've really cleared it out as far as just people just hang out and stuff. And folks come out and they use the BART. I see them at night. So it's making it so much more safer that I hope I can put it, and you guys are doing such an amazing job, like everyone said. I hope I can just put in your notes to keep the scrubber going through there. Now that it's cleared away, it's becoming safe. Throw a little Pine Sol, put some Dawn in there, whatever you got to do to get that. Let's get the rest. Let's get it shining now. Thank you so much.
We have
You're
a
you're
question
very
online.
welcome.
We have a question online from Phil.
Hey, Carlos, I want to join the other neighborhood council presidents who have been thanking you. We had particularly dangerous potholes that were in the bike lanes that run on the roads, and we had 2 injuries with bicyclists, and I reported them, and your team came out pretty darn quickly. And what I want to congratulate you is while they were there, they filled everything in sight real quick. And that was the type of efficiency we want to see from a department, as opposed to filling one and coming back a year later and filling the one within eyesight. Of course, throughout the city, there's a lot more to be done, but I wanted to congratulate your guys. They came and went like a breeze, The other thing I want to mention on the street signs is up above in the hills, we have a lot of deteriorated street signs. May I photograph and just send those directly to you and the intersections to, obviously there's an inventory, but some of them, like we have one-way streets and the signs are insufficient and we have people driving down the wrong way. Can they go directly to you at your
Yes,
email? Thank you,
absolutely.
Carlos. And the third thing I will bug you about until the cows come home. I know that it is not technically your responsibility, is that railroad track on Cutting Avenue by the Burger King.
Yep.
It is not BNSF, it's the other monsters. That gigantic, like 6-inch concrete, I don't know what you call it, where the rails go, is getting worse and worse every year. And I know that it's not really you, but how, we had like a community call-in campaign to the railroad, but they don't care. What can we do? Any ideas?
So you can try the California Public Utilities Commission.
Okay.
We did probably 6 months ago. We did a walk around inspection with BNSF, and the CPUC was also there, and they said to let them know if we have any issues. I've tried to work with them also, and the railroad is on their own time.
But I'm curious, that's not BNSF. That's not a BNSF track.
I think that one is BNSF.
That's not what the signage says.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look into that
I'll
because
do a little investigating on my end, but it's not technically my neighborhood. It's Vernon's neighborhood, but nevertheless, it is. If you have a small sports car or a motorcycle or something, it's literally a 6-inch concrete block in the middle of the street. So it's bad news. Thank you, Carlos, for all you do.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Philip. Carlos, I also want to thank you for Shane Drive. It's in my neighborhood. And then the signs that we've been talking about for 8 years, I appreciate it. Can't wait to see them. So thank you for everything you do. And I guess we'll see you next time.
You're welcome. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Carlos was listening.
That's right. So next we have old business, which we have really none. In new business, we've created some universal neighborhood council bylaws, which will be going out hopefully this month to a couple of neighborhoods so we could get elections going for them. And then we have skipped our public information officer, and I was wondering, we apologize for that. If you have anything you want to.
Just a couple of things, because
Yeah.
most of the things people have already mentioned.
Well,
So I
please.
just have a couple of things here. So West County Salesians Youth Club on November the 1st will be having a fall wine tasting cocktail party, and that'll be from 2 to 5 o'clock. But you didn't tell me where, so I'm assuming it's going to be at the Boys and Girls Club.
That is correct.
All right, and it's $50 per person.
Issue.
And next we have the Richmond Annex is having a block party on Saturday, September the 13th from 10 to 4 p.m. And that's Huntington Avenue between Carlson Ave and Santa Clara Street. And they'll be having things like a bouncy house, face painting, fun activities, Emilio's Tacos, More Life Shaved Ice. That's enough to go, tacos. Okay, and they'll be having dancing performances, Line, Belly, and Zuma, and plus a community sing-along. This sounds really nice, too, with live music. And it's the Lazarus Band, Trans Pico Department of Dust and Wire. Is that a band? Okay. And Hot Rod Jukebox. Okay. So if you're interested, on September the 13th from 10 to 4, let's join Garland at the Richmond Annex. Okay.
Thank you.
That's it.
Before we close, Cordell.
Yes, I was at National Night Out at the Rice Center last month, and I have came up with some ideas, like for 2026 for as speakers. So I've been in conversation with the folks from Fresh Lifelines for Youth. It's a program in Contra Costa County, helping with keeping youth from going into the prison system. So I'm thinking that as for we're going for 2026 is to invite them to come to a future meeting and tell us more about the program. So that's one. And then coming backing up for this year, I was thinking, like, as I brought up last time, is to invite Cindy Howell to come speak to us at a later time to talk to us more about health and exercise, and other things like for older adults. And I say that's perfect. So I talked with her. So if you like to invite her to come for either November or whatever month is available for her. And again, I mentioned about Logan Robertson to come speak to us about what Home Match does, because this is a program that I find it interesting because older adults feel isolated and they need someone to help, like having a young person in their home. So that's just suggestions for the next meetings.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that we're also considering the new school superintendent for West Contra Costa Unified School District, Cheryl Cotton. So you want to turn the mic on?
Yeah, turn the mic on there.
I'm just wondering, is it possible some way, when people send flyers into the PIO, is there a place where we can post them so that when they, like when she announces them in the meeting, we can go back and actually see the PDF of a flyer that was sent to you as an announcement? Can we like attach them to the agenda? Or is there something to just think about? Because it's, you know, we hear these events and we take our little notes about this, but it'd be really nice to be able to print a PDF of a flyer that someone has sent in as an announcement to take back to our councils. So I don't know, that's just a little food for thought. If there's a way that we could clearinghouse, or if we could have a page where those things could post to, so the membership at large can access that information.
Sounds good. We'll look into that. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments before we adjourn the meeting? Seeing none, I'd like to adjourn the meeting on Monday, September 8th, 9:23. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.